Hey guys, it's Saturday, so it's an update video day, so I can tell you what all happened in the shop. And this just came in. This is probably what I'm start with. So, what this is pretty amazing. This is the Hulk 23. It comes from Chris Ratko, and he just designed this manifold. And what this is for a small block Chevy, but it is by far the biggest small block Chevy manifold I have seen out to date so far. And this customer, he's from Australia, and he said, "Hey, I'm gonna have him send you it. You can use it on the Dynamo or whatever else. I'm gonna get some heads to go with it that are gonna be for his own deal. It won't go in those heads, won't go in the Dynamo, but I am gonna test this manifold on the Dynamo. And also, there's a company in Australia that has one that's very similar that's about to be out called Ironhide, and I'm gonna dyno test it compared to this against the tunnel rams. Now, I'm gonna be quite honest with you with this. I'm gonna do a whole nother video describing this, but this is really outside of what the realm of what the Dynamo's engine combination will be happy doing. For instance, this is really made for a much larger cubic inch that's turning a lot of RPM, and you can tell how big it is on the inside, especially the cross section on the outside and stuff. So until I get the CNC ported heads, like I've got the set of AFR 227s, I've got my own 235s, which are great. But until I actually port the AFR 227s and move the push rod pinch over, I don't think that this is going to have a big difference in the power, just because this is only going to allow whatever the heads to move as far as airflow and stuff and the RPM. And quite frankly, my CNC head, that 235, it has probably the best chance to work with this out of the box. I think it's going to do fine, and we'll get to see some comparison between the two. But in all fairness, it's really not what this manifold's designed for. But it will be cool to see it on the get dyno tested. You get something out of it. But I wouldn't take it as gospel. Just more of a, oh, that's cool. That's curiosity. The only other heads I have a really good set of 10X RI heads, and they're not really that raised up runner. But I never finished porting them. That would be excellent to put on the dyno mill with that, because it has like a huge cross section. It would definitely work with this intake manifold. The problem is there's no way that head's going to be done by the time this guy needs that manifold back. Now, but anyway, I'm going to do a whole nother video on this and other stuff later. But I just wanted to show you. What this head is, and I've got to ask this customer for permission, but I don't think he's going to care. What these heads are, these are EQ. That's the number for them. They're actually an H. But if you look, see that? It looks like the Vortec pattern, because if you mill this off, it still doesn't quite look like a Vortec, but it's got at least one of the humps, so it's similar. The chamber is a Vortec chamber. This is the head I want to go get after as far as port wise, and I hate porting cast iron, but I don't mind doing it for myself, but I will never do it for a customer anymore. I'm just not. And sorry about the fan in the background. There you go. But I'm going to try porting this one for that dyno test we're going to have in October with these cast iron heads. This is going to be the one, and I think this one could be pretty good. You might say, what head is it? Well, EQ doesn't even make this head anymore, but what they had was they had their own aftermarket Vortec head pattern, and they actually had another one, and I think it's on the other side. You see this hump here? On the other side, it's got the Sawtooth 3 marks. So it looks like it's either a 906 on one side or an 062 on the other side, which is neat. But they also had two patterns. You could get the standard pattern or the Vortec pattern manifold. And before you go like, well, that's a clear indication that it's not a Vortec pattern because of these bolt holes. Several of the Vortec heads we actually drilled like this so they could take a conventional manifold. So this head's really kind of cool in that way. Now it does have an exhaust crossover, which no Vortec ever had. But won a lot of races with it, and then for probably 3 years, this was the ticket, and then all the tracks here said no, they're illegal. So it went from you can run aftermarket Vortec stuff to no, you guys are winning too much, to no. Which one of the great things for being a head porter engine builder thing is if you ever get one of the things you're doing banned, then you've done great. But anyway, I don't know that it's entirely that, but those heads are no longer legal, so that's why I don't think the guy's gonna mind. I told him I'd freshen them up, wouldn't charge him anything. So he'll have definitely more resale value whenever I get done porting them and everything too. So I have something out of it. But I'm gonna try. That's the one I want to try to real hard on for the 383 cast iron testing that we'll be doing. There's that. Let's go on to some other stuff. I want to show you this one. This will be a later video. And yeah, the shop's a disaster. These are cast iron Summit heads, but really they're dart heads. A customer sent this in a long time ago. These are supposed to be like their Vortec head replacement because you got the Vortec pattern, obviously, and got it raised up. Well, I floated. That's a later video. This one's kind of interesting. It did better than I thought it would. And wait till you see all the stuff with it. It'd be a cool video. But anyway, got that one flowed and done. The truck's kind of a disaster because I work on it late at nights, and I just didn't pick up anything. It was like 1 when I came in. But here's some things I did. I ended up changing the alternator because I had a 100 amp alternator. This is 150 because of I calculated the amp draw. I was like, whoa, I'm a little high on that deal. So more than 100. So I needed 150 is what I got. On as far as the trans brake deal, I'm gonna have to use a relay. I'm just deal with that later. I got it kind of working inside the cab right now. There's crap everywhere and it's not even close to being done. You know, I just don't have enough time to work on everything. So there's that. Not a whole lot of progress being done because I just, like, again, time. So I won't touch this until I'm finished doing some grinding and yeah. So there you go. It just isn't getting done. I gotta show you this one. This one about pissed me off. There's these heads right here are a set of BB2 pluses, but I gotta port these for a customer. So one of the first things I ever have to do is I valve job them. Well, this head, obviously, it looks like someone has redone some things, and they have. So they pulled out these seats and changed them. And they did some welding here is where that deal is. Probably weld up the register and put the new seats in. I'm gonna give you, here's your, you need to know. Don't put Stellite seats in. What in God's green earth would you ever put those in? These are Stellite. And for those that don't know and you're new to the channel or whatever, just don't have any information about heads. Typically in aluminum heads, we put something called a ductile iron seat, but there's a whole bunch of different grades and better ones and worse ones. If you want to get ones, I would say get the ones from Brodix. Brodix and AFR literally have probably the easiest ones to machine, and they're like perfect seats. These, I shouldn't say the easiest to machine. These on the exhaust side are the easiest to machine. These are replacement from, I don't know where they got them from, but a lot of people sell them. These are the same ones they use in some of the Chinese heads, like the, not Pro Comp, because those are pattern metal and fall apart. These are like the ones you'd get from Pro Header or Assault. They're like this material. These are actually the easiest to machine, but they always look dull. The ductile iron that Brodix and AFR sells, those they machine out perfectly. They're nice and round, and they look great. And then you've got this piece of shit I hate. This is Stellite. Stellite's probably one of the hardest seat materials ever because I have brand new blades, sharpen them to the nth degree. This thing, and my Robbins has done fantastic on almost everything it's touched until this. So it'll cut, and then it starts getting out around with this because the seat's just too damn hard, especially for my blades. You see how mine's taking out all this angle? If you just had a little cutter with 3 angles, you probably never wouldn't have that big a deal. But I'm taking out all this material, and I had to cut to a larger area. With this Stellite, oh my gosh, it's hard. For one, it makes everything gets hot, and you're like, well, that's good. It isn't sharp enough. I can't make it sharp enough. These things are just tough to cut, so you end up using a stone. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, this is a stone. So I'll cut it on the seat guide machine. This is for the intake, and then I'll put the pilot in it and put the stone on, and it spins around there and actually redoes the seat angle, so it kind of seals. And you can still see I'm not happy there either because it still needs another one passed right here. As you can just camera won't focus. See where the lap is with those 2 little divots? That ain't right. That one's close because I hit each one of them with just one turn to see what it would do. Yeah, these are a fight. I'm not happy. Typically, by the way, whenever you cut one seat, like take for instance the exhaust, you just cut like this, it's sealed up right away. Not on these. Even with the stone, after one pass does it. It's tough. I hate cutting these. The only time you might say, why do they even have this material? You know why they use Stellite? It's for like natural gas deals. Because when you have gasoline, E85 or something, any of the fuels, they provide some lubrication between the seat and the valve. A natural gas deal does not, period. So what it does is it actually eats up the seats, and so they made the seats harder for these Stellite ones. But there's other ones you could have used, like the Killer Bees. These are just crap. God, I hate them. So anyway, yeah. I hate these seats. I've spent more time on this valve job than I have others, and I'm still not happy, obviously. So I want to show you that. I'm not joking you. Usually I'd be done with like maybe a valve job in a couple hours. This one I probably had at least 3 hours on this. So it takes almost 30 minutes per seat anyway. And just to get to this, so I can hit it with the stone again. Plus I have to keep redressing my stone because this material is so hard. It's a pain. So I gotta do something about that. Anyway, there's that. The only reason I'm doing that one is because it's not next to port. After, which you watched last week's video, you would know. These 13-degree heads, they're just, it looks like they're not done. They just need beautified. And they're done. And then the Dragon Slayers, they're actually close, and so are these AFRs are real close now too. And then the Promax is the one that I use for development. I've did some on that, not much. But after those are done, which they'll be done probably midweek, all 3 sets at the same time, I got another set of Dragon Slayers to do, and then these. So I'm working on this in between just to kind of get there. After that, I got a set of small block Chevy Headhunters, which would be cool. But yeah, those suck. Don't ever do that. Anyway, I think that's about wraps it up. Besides, I want to put on my website, I think, my online store is, I've got so many old burrs that I don't use because they're dull. For you newbies, they'd probably be fine because they won't cut as bad as some of the others and won't jump around as bad. But I think I'm going to start selling my old ones because they're like, why don't you send them off to resharpen? Every time I do, they're too sharp and they do bounce even for me. So I only get new ones. But I think I'm going to sell all the old ones. So I'm probably doing packs of 3 where you get this one. That's the same one. This one. So this is a rounded oval. That is the oval, which is the rounded cylinder. And that one right there. Sorry. I'm probably gonna do packs of 3 like this for like, I don't know, 60 bucks or something. You're like, that's expensive. That flame right there, that's a 1/2-inch flame on a 6-inch. That one right there is $46. The rounded cylinder one, usually about $35, and so is that one. So this right here, it's over $100 when I buy them new. So probably do, like I said, about 60 bucks. That will include shipping. Now, I use them on a 6-inch long shank. You're like, I can't use them on that. You can actually cut them down. The carbide's on the top. These are steel, so you just cut them down to whatever length you want. But that's what I think I'm gonna do, because I've got a ton of these, way too many. So anyway, that's all that's going on so far. Tomorrow's video is gonna be the big block Chevy heads, that Promax 290. We tested, I think, 6 different intakes or something on it, and you get to see all the results from that. That's tomorrow's video. Anyway, you guys take care, and remember, I'm no Superman.